Jonesy and Amanda.
Jam Nation.
The computer system Post Office spent an arm and a leg on is faulty.
You're responsible for the loss.
I haven't got that money, and I don't know where it's gone.
These deficits were most likely caused by you. That is the Post Office case.
All our hopes, all our savings down the pan.
We are fighting a war against an enemy owned by the British government, while we're just skint little people. Finally, 555 of us now, ready to tell our stories.
I stumbled across this story and it just blew my mind. This happened a number of years ago, but this incredible story of Mr. Bates versus the Post Office has been made into a television series watched by millions in England. Hundreds of innocent postmasters and postmistresses were wrongly accused of theft, fraud and false accounting due to a defective IT system. Sounds like our robo-debt. Producer of this extraordinary show is Patrick Spence, and he joins us now. Patrick, hello.
Patrick.
Hello. Thanks for having me.
Well, thanks for being on. This is so scary. This could happen to anyone.
Yeah, and it did. It happened to hundreds of people. They went to prison. They were criminalised. They were bankrupted. Their lives were ruined, and none of them had done anything wrong.
An extraordinary tale. So they were accused of, because I guess they subleased the post office, and then they were accused of cooking the books, whereas in fact it was a faulty IT system.
And based only on the evidence of a faulty computer system, which the Post Office from 2013 onwards had already realised was faulty, and they carried on convicting for several years later. So it's abhorrent. It is that bad.
And the stories were of pregnant women going to prison.
Yep, people took their own lives. It's a tragedy of epic scale. Yeah.
And all these people got together. I'm presuming that they didn't know that each one had been affected by this.
One of the tactics of the Post Office was to tell each, this is a matter of fact, was to tell each sub-postmaster that they were the only ones struggling with the computer system. So it took a long time for them to look for others. And when they did start to find each other, they realised they'd been lied to. So yeah, the Post Office tactics were really criminal in themselves.
As you say, the Post Office knew about this all those years ago. The government would have known about this presumably all those years ago. But the impact of this TV show must have just shocked everybody.
Well, the story had been out there for a while, and no one had quite understood the emotional kind of upheaval and the horror that they had suffered. So what the drama did was it brought home to the nation. It was on a big commercial channel in the UK. It brought home to the nation what these people had been through. And then everyone got angry and everyone rose up, and the newspapers were able to start writing about it. They had tried, in all fairness. Huh? They tried to interest the country, and suddenly it led a torch paper, and then for about 2 frantic weeks, it was the lead story every day. And finally, after 8 days after transmission, the Prime Minister stood up in the House of Commons and said, we're going to change the law to issue a mass pardon for all of them.
Wow.
So it was a big deal.
So who gets held accountable out of all of this?
Well, that's a really good question, and that's the next stage. There is an inquiry ongoing, and a lot of answers, and I think a lot more horrific facts are going to come out over the next 6 months. And the very real hope is that the senior management at the Post Office and Fujitsu, the people that built the computer, and quite possibly people within government who sat on the Post Office's board will be held to account.
Well, if anything, it'll put bureaucrats on notice. If you're a bureaucrat and you're listening to this, you're not going to get away with it. Robo-debt, which I don't know if you're familiar with.
We had a similar thing
which
here.
happened in our country. And they just wash their hands of it. Governments are becoming more and more accountable.
And here, as you say, they get an apology. People have taken their lives. People have lost their livelihoods. It's not even the beginning to be enough, is it?
I've done interviews with various people around the world now because this story is spreading. And each time I go to a new country to talk, they say, we've got one just like it, like you're saying now. There is a story in Japan, in America, in Germany. They've each got their own version where people who either sit in senior roles in government or run big corporations or both have behaved like bullies or liars or cheats and done hideous things which are coming to account.
Gee, who would have thought?
It's really sad. It's
Who would
really,
have thought?
really sad.
Who would have thought politicians would lie to us? That's just like,
Well, Patrick,
come on,
I can't wait to see this
Yeah,
show.
this
I've
is
read
great.
so much about it. Mr. Bates versus the Post Office. It premieres tonight, 8:50 on Channel 7 and 7 Plus. There's 2 eps and you can stream them as of tonight on 7 Plus.
Patrick, thanks for joining us.
It was a real pleasure. Thanks for listening.